Yeah, morning. I've had a lot of people on Facebook ask me how to make good quality, cheap biltong in a dehydrator. So here goes, guys. I'm not a professional, so we're just going to have a bit of fun. First thing we're going to need a bottle of vinegar, bottle of Worcestershire sauce. You can use any brand you want to. Spices, which I'll go into more detail, but good pack of biltong spices, your meat, a big bowl, and of course the dehydrator. Since I bought this thing, I've used it non-stop. It's a brilliant little machine. They are expensive, about 130, 140 pounds, 140 pounds, but it's paid itself off already. You can use it for fruit, for meat, for anything you want to. But we're focusing on biltong today, so let's go through the process. It's a three-step process. First process, preparing the meat. Second process is putting on the dehydrator, letting it pre-warm. And the third process is, of course, stocking up the dehydrator with your already made biltong. Meat, we have to cure the meat, and the only way to really do that is with some vinegar. So firstly, it's a nice clean bowl. Take some vinegar, squirt some at the bottom. So it just gives a bit of a covering. And now we're going to start layering up our meat. The meat I'm using today is simple plain old brisket from Tesco's. It's cheap, only costs £9.50 a kilogram, and it cuts into thin slices, a bit of fat on the side. I go to Tesco's and I actually ask them to cut it for me, and they do everything for me. So look, it's a nice thin strip of meat, cut as thin as possible, because the thinner you cut it, the nicer it gets. So all I'm going to do is quickly lay all the meat down. That doesn't matter if they get very thin slices, because those make you lying it down on a shelf, so it won't matter how thin the slices are. Nothing will go to waste. So keep on putting this down, nice layer. Then grab some vinegar again. Now I'm just literally going to squirt a bit over the top. Just be quite liberal with the vinegar. You can't use too much vinegar. Trust me, it will make the flavor lovely. And this is the first layer of spicing I'm going to give it. When I put it in the shelf in the dehydrator, I give it a second layer of spicing. So just going to give it a general covering. This spicing that I'm using today, I always use the same one. It's called Safari. It's a Crown product, Crown National. Safari, you get the legendary seasoning, you get the biltong seasoning, and you get the chili seasoning. Now the chili to me is the best one, because obviously you're making this quite dry and the flavor really comes out. Approximately a 2 kilogram bag on Amazon is 20 quid, and you use maybe 100 grams per setting, so you use about 1 pound worth of spices, so it's really, really cheap. So I put spice on, put vinegar on, and now we go with another layer of meat. In this process, we're just going to keep on following up. So I'll just keep on chatting while I'm doing this. So the amount of meat I bought is 2 kilograms, so it's just under 20 pounds. And you'll see how much biltong it makes. So once again, back into the vinegar, spraying the vinegar on. All the vinegar does is literally cure the meat and leaves, because we aren't dabbing the vinegar off afterwards, it leaves a lovely flavour. Yes, bit of Worcestershire sauce just for a bit of a tang. Same thing, just a small bit. Once again, it won't go to waste. Spices, I'll put some chili spices here, so you can mix the two spices if you want. There we go. And next layer of meat. This is the tedious process of actually stocking up the meat. Just pack it in layers, nice and tight. Doesn't need to be perfect. Follow all the gaps. There we go. Another piece over there. Another piece over there. And once again. stick in a little bit. Some chili spice again. Just a nice light covering. Don't have to be too. This is not the only spicing it's going to get. It's going to get more spicing when it goes onto, just before it goes into the shells. Back to vinegar. I like my meat quite nicely vinegary flavoured, so I put quite a bit of vinegar on. It actually helps the curing. The last few pieces are going in here. And that's it. A normal Biltong spice one again. Just add a bit of that. Some Worcestershire sauce. As you can see, I'm quite generous. I don't use exact quantities. You just use the just, but because you're drying out the meat, as long as you add enough flavour, it'll be fine. And that is that. Meat preparation all done. Now I'm simply going to get my cling film, which I'm not sure where it is, but I'll find my cling film now shortly. Wrap the whole thing up in cling film, nice and tight. Stick in the fridge. And come back in 24 hours and ready to pack the shells. So that's step one completely done. I'm just going to see if I can find my cling film somewhere. Ah, there we go. So I'll wrap that up quickly for you. And because you've got all the meat and the seasoning and the vinegar, it can pool, but it's alright because you want the spices to go everywhere. You want the flavour to go everywhere. You want the liquid to go everywhere. Nice and tight because the wife doesn't like the smell of raw meat in the fridge. Yes, so that's step one now done. Step two will be, you need to preheat your dehydrator by 6 hours. So tomorrow, this is now morning time, it's about 9 o'clock, so I'll be waking up at about 3 o'clock because I just didn't set my times right, to turn on the dehydrator, so it's pre-warmed. But I'll show you all that on the next video when I wake up again tomorrow morning. The only thing we'll need to discuss is exactly what model dehydrator it is, but we'll also discuss that when I'm preheating everything. Thanks a lot, guys, and I'll speak to you later. Cheerio. Hi, so the meat's been in for 18 hours, and now in 6 hours time it will be ready to be put into the dehydrator, so I need to preheat the dehydrator. As I was saying, I was going to be speaking about the dehydrator. It is a Vivo, V-E-V-O-R. You've got the details on the screen there. My daughter will show you the screen. It's a 6-shelf. 6 little shelves, very basic model, but it does the trick. It is quite wide, so you'll need space to fit. We're lucky we've got a wall that it can hide behind. And this was just under 120 pounds. As I say, it's paid for itself already, and you can use dehydrate fruit, which we do quite a bit. So let's turn it on, simply out of the wall, power up, and now we're going to set the time at 50. And I'm going to preheat because I'm going to look for about 6 hours. So just leave it in case I run late, 7, and that's it. That is the whole job now, preheating, and that's step 2 finished. The next step, of course, will be layering the meat, which we will do in about 6 hours time. So thanks for that. And we've come to the last part of the Biltong making experience. The meat has been fermenting in various liquids for the last 24 hours, and now I'm just going to put it down on shelves put a bit of spices on it, and stick it straight in the dehumidifier. Dehumidifier, as I say, has been warming up for the last 6 hours, so here we go. I've got a few trays, so take a simple tray, come close to it, open up the meat. There we go. As you can see, it looks all nice, and now it's just a matter of taking it and putting it neatly on the shelves. You don't need to dust it off or do anything. You literally just put it straight down. And for a bit of extra spice, take my spice bag again and just lightly, very lightly dust it on the one side. And then just dab it in to make sure all the spices are nice and in. The meat would feel quite wet. Flip it over. And do exactly the same on the other side. Just a bit of spice. Just add it all in. And that's one tray done. Now I'll get the next tray, just put it on top, and the whole process starts again. So some meat. More meat. So you see, it's quite a quick process. And the dryer has got 6 shelves, so normally I think I use about 4 shelves of the dryer, but with 2 kilograms of meat, but it can vary. So a nice light dusting of spices. Once again, dab it all in, flip it over. And hopefully that again. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the rest of the shelves and I'll come back to you. So push pause for a while.
Go.
Yeah, so finally I've got the shelves packed with the meat. It takes a few minutes. And now straight into the dehydrator. So what I'm going to first do is set the temperature. So make sure it's on 50. Yep. And I make sure, because I'm putting it in for 14 hours. So I don't need to worry about it. I just zap it in for 14 hours then. It's a matter of placing each shelf in. Try and space them out. So one bottom, one the top. So I've got 5 shelves full of meat. And there we go, that's done. So we'll come back in 14 hours time and see what the oven has produced. Thanks, cheers. And finally, it's been 14 hours. I actually left the biltong in the dehydrator the whole night long because it's obviously turned off automatically. And now it's just a matter of unpacking it. So I'll show you exactly how this looks. You just pull out a shelf and look at that. Perfectly dehydrated biltong. I'll put a few more. Nice thin strips. Texture wise, see, it's still soft enough, but it's cooked all the way through. I can break it with my hands. A few more. And then, of course, I will wait for you all to see exactly what your yield is from 20 pounds worth of meat, 2 kilograms of meat, 20 pounds worth of value. Those are all the small pieces. My favorite those. So yeah, so let's just get the scales quickly. I know this bowl weighs roughly 300 grams. So the yield is literally 900 grams of biltong for 20 quid. So roughly a kilogram of biltong for 20 quid. And now, as usual, just so good, so good. Thanks a lot. If you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Cheerio.